Hi, welcome to Facebook Live. You'll notice that there's a time change and a location change today. I'm actually coming to you from my counselling rooms in Denham Street today. Today's topic is tools and techniques used by manipulators, and I'm going to just give you 5 quick techniques that manipulators use in order to manipulate you. And you'll love some of the terminology here. I've mentioned love bombing once before. This is probably one of the first things that you'll see in a manipulative relationship, where that person will, what we call, love bomb you. And what they're really doing here is they're setting up a situation where you're addicted to their attention. So that love bombing is, validating you. So it's telling you how wonderful you are, praising you, giving you lots and lots of time and attention. Might be constant text messages and contact. It could be presents even. So physical gifts, flowers, those kinds of things. Whatever it is, they set it up so that, they are seemingly the answer to your prayers. I don't know if you've ever heard that phrase, that the devil comes dressed as everything that you've ever wanted. And I don't want to bring a religious connotation into it, but the reality is what they're trying to do is make themselves look like, or make you believe that they are exactly what you've been looking for. So prior to this, there will have been lots of questions, and throughout this period, there will be lots of questions about what it is you are looking for in a partner, in a man. They'll then mirror those things back to you so that you believe that you have now found exactly the person that you were looking for. So that's called love bombing. And, it's an intense phase, and it's all about getting you to connect with them, to attach with them. So it's an artificial, false, intense attachment is what they're aiming to create. One of the next things that we talk about are circular conversations. You probably won't see this in the early days, but once there's conflict, you'll begin to see the circular conversations. So these are the conversations that seem to go round and round and round in circle, but never actually are resolved. It's almost like you lose track of what the topic of the conversation was actually about. And you're thinking, hang on, how did we end up here? This is a whole different subject than what we were talking about a moment ago. And it may be that it's the same subject that comes up again and again and again. So it might be about your parents, or it might be about something that you've done, a transgression in the past, or something along those lines. In circular conversations, they have a way of always bringing this topic back to this particular topic, whatever it is. So whatever it is that you might have conflict about today, it always winds back to this previous topic, this previous conversation that's clearly, you may have thought it was resolved at the time, and maybe multiple times since then you have believed it's been resolved, but the conversation always keeps coming back to that. And it's circular in nature, so, it isn't resolved, and it always feels as though, you kind of lose track of, well, hang on, what was this conversation even about? Where did this start? So that's what a circular conversation is all about. Don't confuse a circular conversation with word salad. Okay, this is another great phrase. Word salad is, I guess, another name for political speak. It's where they use lots of words. Oftentimes those words will be very complex and intellectual sounding, but they don't actually mean anything. And so when you boil it all down, there's no actual content. It's a bunch of confusing words sort of tied together to make it sound like they're participating in the conversation or discussion, or that they're very knowledgeable, when in fact the content, once you take out all of those extra words, is actually very, very little. It's designed to confuse you. Along with the circular conversations, word salad is very confusing. It means that you can't keep track of where the conversation's going or what the conversation is actually about, and whether or not that person has actually made a commitment. There's not been any kind of a resolution. So word salad is a lot of content, very little subject matter. And so when you walk away from the conversation, you go, oh, hang on, we didn't actually resolve that, or he didn't actually state what his position was on that. I'm no more informed now than I was prior to the conversation. So that's the whole point behind word salad. The person can seemingly interact with you, but there's no actual content, there's no actual value to the conversation. No real point in even having it. And that's the idea behind word salad. So they look like they participate and they're, intellectually actually there, but the reality is there's no content, they don't actually add any value. Another thing that we'll see is called fake teeming. Now, this is where I set up that you and I are on the same team. So, the kind of way that you might see that used would be, it's all right, darling, we'll sort it out. Or, hun, we'll sort that when we get to it. And the reason why it's fake is because it happens far too early in the relationship. It happens long before there's any kind of a commitment or any kind of suggestion that you two are in fact a team. It's inappropriate. It's usually too early, or there isn't any actual attachment or connection or reason why you would be a team. The reality of this particular manipulative technique is that this is actually used in some very sinister ways by very sinister people. I'm talking in rapes and murders even. Oftentimes they'll follow you and they'll pick up a can maybe or something you've dropped and hand it back to you, and they'll try to set up a dynamic where they're on the same team as you, and that's why we call it fake teaming. And you'll see this a lot in the early days when it's inappropriate for you to be thinking in terms of teaming. And it's to create a bond and a sense of intimacy and a sense that you're both on the same team. Obviously, a manipulator wants you to believe that you are both on the same team. And the next thing is future faking. And this is a great one, and you'll see this a lot with highly controlling and manipulative people, because they want you to believe that they're thinking about a future with you. And so they'll actually dream with you. They'll actually talk about the future. Might be going to Ireland with him to see, to go to a wedding with his family. It might be, we'll holiday here, or we'll do this, or we'll build this house, or, we're going to travel the world and do this. So future faking is where they set up this vision of a fake future with you. And obviously the reason for that is because that gets you more attached and you believe that they are considering and thinking about a future with you in it. Unfortunately, it's often very false, and it's designed purely to have you attach and connect with them, and they don't mean a word that they're saying. So there's 5 different techniques and terms that manipulators use. There'll be more that I'll add to your vocabulary in coming months. But watch out for those things. You'll see that they are there underpinning nearly every toxic relationship to some degree or another. Now, people who are toxic don't necessarily use all of these, but you'll certainly see a number of them being used. And oftentimes you will see all of them to different degrees. Anyway, if you would like to learn more about some of the services that I offer, you can duck over to www.liminalcoaching.com.au and have a look at the different services that I offer. There are, obviously, you can watch this on YouTube, you can read the article on LinkedIn, and you can listen to the podcast as well. Thanks for joining me today. Have a great week, and I will see you next week. Bye.